Going across to the latest flare-up in West Asia. A decades-old conflict has taken the shape of a series of deadly airstrikes. Israel and Palestine are once again at odds. Both sides pounded each other with missile rockets. While Israel's Iron Dome saved its people, Palestinians ran for cover. There are conflicting reports of the death toll. Palestinian health authorities claim 10 people have lost their lives, including a 5-year-old, and 79 people were left with injuries, whereas Israel claims that it has killed 15 Palestinians. WION is not in a position to verify either of the claims. However, both sides have confirmed that the top commander of Palestinian Islamic group was killed in the attack. Taysir Al-Jabari was living in a high-rise tower in Gaza City. Just hours after his killing, thousands of Palestinians poured onto the streets to hold a funeral procession. This Palestinian Islamic group has had deep links with Hamas. Both are some of the strongest groups operating in Gaza. PIJ specifically is backed by Iran, an arch rival of Israel. Prime Minister Yair Lapid defended the airstrike, saying Israel was forced to launch a preemptive operation because it posed a security threat.
Israel carried out a precise counter-terror operation against an immediate threat. Our fight is not with the people of Gaza. Islamic Jihad is an Iranian proxy that wants to destroy the state of Israel and kill innocent Israelis. The head of Islamic Jihad is in Tehran as we speak. We will do whatever it takes to defend our people.
Israeli forces have arrested 20 people so far who have been accused of terrorist activities, and the IDF claims that 19 of these belong to the PIJ group. Soon after the strike, the Gaza-based Islamic group vowed to hit back. It fired more than 100 rockets into Israel, and most were intercepted by the Iron Dome missile defense shield. Sirens were heard blaring throughout the night, and residents were urged to stay in bomb shelters. There were no immediate reports of casualties.
Filming this from inside a bomb shelter, residents across Israel, but mainly around the Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Beersheba areas and around the southern areas bordering Gaza have been told to prepare their bomb shelters, not to gather in large groups over the weekend and to stay as close as possible to the shelters. We've just heard here in Ra'anana that the mayor has announced that they have been opening public shelters across the city, and again urging residents not to go too far from shelters as Palestinian Islamic Jihad has vowed to take revenge.
Now, for more on this, we are being joined by Professor Amazia Brahman, who is a retired professor at the Department of Middle East Studies at the University of Haifa in Israel. Thank you for being with us, Professor. Now, tensions are flaring up once again between Israel and Palestine. Take us through what has led to these latest strikes.
I'm not sure I would call it Israel against Palestine. We are now in battle against Islamic Jihad, which is a 20,000 strong organization in Gaza, and to an extent also in the West Bank. But they are an Iranian arm or an Iranian tentacle. They are not, I don't think they really represent the Palestinian people as such. So far, Hamas, which is also a minority group within the Palestinians, but still much larger than Islamic Jihad, has not joined the fray. So Israel's interest is three interests. A, to make the whole confrontation very brief. Second, to hit as many fighters on the other side, and we are sorry about that. I personally, for sure, but we are sorry for hitting a child and a woman. but the other eight casualties are fighters, especially the Taysir Al-Jabari, who is the commander of Islamic Jihad. So it's a war between us and a small branch of Palestinian terrorists, if you wish. They our job is to finish it quickly, to end it quickly, to keep Hamas out of it. Hamas is very uncomfortable with it, but we have to remember and that's most important. The Iranians are behind this particular conflagration. The Iranians are in deep trouble. Let us, for the first time in many years, Lebanon is beginning to reject them. It's very difficult, but in the elections, democratic elections, they voted against the Iranian-inclined, Iranian supporting forces. Baghdad, in the elections, general democratic elections, they rejected them as well. I mean, the Iran supporters are there, but they are now in the minority in parliament. It's a big problem for them. And finally, Hezbollah cannot stop the Israeli-Lebanese agreement on a borderline in the sea, the economic borders. So both Lebanon and Israel can extract natural gas. So the Iranians feel that things are slipping. And the head, as you correctly pointed out, the head of Islamic Jihad, Ziad Nakhleh, is now in Tehran, and it's done in coordination between them and the Iranians and Islamic Jihad. So I would say this is a so far limited confrontation. We have a few wounded, about 10 wounded, but no dead so far. They are trying to kill as many civilians as they can. We are trying to kill only fighters, and that's very difficult, but we are trying, and we are so far quite successful, if you know, not 100%. And so you never know. They would like to continue the fighting as long as they can, and it can be long, and eventually to force Hamas to join them. Hamas is much larger, much better equipped, a lot of military hardware, much more than they have, longer range. They can reach Haifa. Haifa is so far out of a range for Islamic Jihad. Tel Aviv not, Tel Aviv is, but Haifa is out of range, so I'm very relaxed. But if Hamas joins it, and the Iranians are pressuring Hamas very hard to join as well, this will become real war. So hopefully it won't work.
Right. And Professor, have there been any statements released by Hamas on this latest strike?
Well, so far Israel is very careful not to strike any Hamas targets, and Hamas is very careful not to fire even one rocket. This is so far a major achievement of both sides, because Hamas actually reached with Israel some kind of an arrangement that many Gazans, about 20,000 every day, would leave Gaza into Israel, have a working day, full working day in Israel, go back to Gaza, and they bring a lot of money back home. So the civilians of Gaza are quite happy, or reasonably happy, about the situation just before the fighting began. Now Israel wants to make it as short as possible, as brief as possible. So does Hamas. But will Iran manage to convince Hamas to join the fray? We don't know. We hope.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you very much for your valued insights and bringing us all the latest there.
You're most welcome, Minister.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.